Hi, I'm Jim Knotts, President and CEO of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Welcome to today's virtual reading of the names. 2022 marks the 40th anniversary of the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. As part of our commemoration, we'll host an in-person reading of the names at the wall from November 7th through 10th, 2022, when all 58,281 names on the wall will be read aloud. In the lead up to that event, we'll be reading names each day online while sharing the photos of these heroes. For our daily virtual reading, the names of the service members will be read by month and day of death between the years 1956 and 1975 in alphabetical order for the given day. We apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. Know that our readers are doing their best to honor these service members. We hope you'll listen and watch each day and share with others as we remember and honor those who gave their lives during the Vietnam War.
Samuel Adams, Robert Lee Alexander, James Samuel Allison, Alexander Audrey Ames, Henry Ard, Donald Harold Bartlett, Philip J. Battaglia, Jr., Larry Michael Bow, Ronald Allen Beardsley, Thomas Martin Behrens, Keith Lloyd Benson, Jimmy Dale Blaylock, Lawrence Gilbert Bourne, John Raymond Bowling Sr., Joseph Michael Bauman, Michael Dennis Brightman, Douglas Brown, Nathaniel Brown, James David Brown, Francis Joseph Bunch, Luis Oscar Calderon, Kenneth Wayne Castle, Gary Wayne Catrone, John Wayne Caver, Stephen Ike Cavan, Roger Ridgely Chambliss, Charles Dane Chapman, Howard Clanton, James Ralph Cooper, James Allen Cox, Eugene Crossley, Walter Wayne Cunningham, Marvin Ellis Curry, Adamo Armino DeAngelis, Antonio H. Delacerda, Jr., Jerry Allen Dennis, Ralph Joseph DePace, Paul Richard Driscoll, Charles Gale Dusing, Douglas Gary Ellers, Raymond Michael Ency, Patrick Beverly Epps, Steve Louis Esquier, Jerry Don Everett, Richard Michael Facer, Hugh Michael Fanning, Dennis William Finnegan, Donald Frank Fletcher, Richard Barton Freeman, Dennis Lee Gautier, Paul Robert Getz, James Melvin Gear, Floyd Stephen Giebel, Raymond Lee Goodchild, David Gregory, Donald Dean Haskins, Charles Robert Hempel, Jr., Larry Keith Hendy, Ernest Richard Hensley, Ferris E. Holland, Michael Lee Hosea, Stephen Dale Howard, Roger Lee Hubbard, Gregory George Hubbard,
Milton Charles Hunter, Stephen Joseph Husky, Walter Joseph Jankowski, Guffey Scott Johnson, Philip Dale Joslin, Harry William Gentilla, Leon Emmanuel Kaiser, Michael Walter Colminen, Stephen J. Cott, Darrell Eugene Lefevre, James Allen Laird, Charles Ruiz Lemus, Jr., Robert Edison Linville, Ted T. Locklear, Robert Lawrence Lynch, Alfred Richard Mahoney, Jr., Jimmy Eugene Marcheski, Larry Joe McGraw, Charles A. McSwiney, Jr., Thomas Reyes Mesa, John Stephen Michalski, William Edward Miller, Thomas Moore, Brian John Morrow, James Van Ness Muller, Timothy Francis Murphy, Jr., Frank Joseph Nadani, Jr., Maurice Glenn Newman, Jr., Thomas Eugene Newstead, Gregory Leroy Nutter, Eleftherios Pantelpapas, Ralph John Parker, Jr., Stephen Earl Parks, Milton Dale Pate, Michael Gene Phillips, Carrier Pierre, Riley Leroy Pitts, Trent Richard Powers, Robert M. Press, Jr., Angel Alarid Quevedo, Warren Henry Raines, Bill Edward Ramsey, Jr., Paul Edmund Rayome, Paul Edward Reed, Angel A. Rivera Velasquez, Floyd Irwin Robinson, Michael D. Rosenthal, Jr., Ronald Allen Ross, George Thomas Saunders, Jr., Ronald Lee Schuyler, Michael J. Seedorf, Edward Eugene C., Thomas Edward Surbaugh, Paul Siriani, Jr., Thomas J. Smallwood, Jr., Albert Peter Smariglio, Kenneth James Spencer, Eugene Spencer, Anthony Lawrence Spino, Lawrence Arnold Stallnaker, Robert George Stanko, Daniel Lee Starkey, John Clifton Steer, James Mitchell Stever,
Charles Leroy Stewart, Jr., John Thompson Stimson, Jr., William Dale Stovall, Roger Wesley Swanson, Kenneth William Tappy, Jr., Scott Lewis Theory, Timothy Arma Thomas, Carl Delbert Tomlin, Jr., John Edward Urbellis, Ronald A. Van Sessen, Ronald Lee Van Landingham, Albert Clay Watson, Jr., Norbert Otto Werner, Curtis F. Williams, Jr., David Edwards Fisherman, Ronald Allen Wolter, Delbert Roy Wood, Murray John Wyman,